Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Today, I have Emily Strickler with me. Emily is a life coach who comes from the same school that I studied in. And Emily is here to talk to us a little bit about self-worth today. So, Emily, why don't you just start by explaining what's meant by self-worth?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Stacey, first of all. So self-worth to me, well, first of all, self-worth is something that I really help my clients ground in. And it can be very difficult because so many people feel very disconnected from their worth. And I want to really clarify, it's not that you have to deserve or earn your worth. It's that it literally already exists inside of you, but you are, what I say is you're pinching yourself off from it. You're not connecting to it, but it's always there and available to you. So if you think about, like, I don't know, I'm pulling a example out of thin air, but if you you have your car keys, they're somewhere in the house, you just got home and you set them somewhere, but you just can't find them. You can't find them, but they are there. They're there. They're 100% there. You're just not looking in the right place. You're not doing what you need to do to find the keys. It's it's the same thing. I believe that we are all born into this world 100% capable, worthy, and enough. And then life teaches us how to disconnect from that by how we were raised, by the relationships that we get involved with, by the experiences that we have, by the things that maybe somebody said to us or the behavior that somebody did. And then all of a sudden we're making all of those things mean really negative things about ourselves. And we get lost in that negativity where that negativity just feels true. It feels factual that you're not enough, that you'll never be in a healthy relationship because look at your past. Hello. How are you ever going to find love? How are you ever going to feel good enough? How are you ever going to have a good communication or that relationship you've always wanted? Because you're just not, because look at your past. That's what we do so often. And so I believe that life is a constant journey of unlearning what we've learned from our past. And it's, some of my clients don't like it when I say this, but to me, I've found peace in this, that it's never ending, because life, we're always growing, we're always evolving, we're always having new encounters with new people and new experiences and jobs and finances and whatever it may be, that when you accept that it's a never ending journey, if you're grounded in your self-worth, it doesn't seem scary. It just doesn't seem scary anymore because you feel empowered. And so I think maybe a lot of your clients and many of my clients too, they feel completely powerless.
Yes,
They feel
definitely.
right. They feel maybe in some cases, and I say this with love, sometimes it can be very triggering for people. But when you're powerless, you're in a victim circumstance. You're trapped as the victim in your life and you don't want to be there, but yet you're giving your power away to everything outside of you, from your ex to money, to in-laws, to friends who aren't behaving in a way that make you feel good and loved and accepted. And so we start developing these codependency tendencies that make us feel completely powerless. And what I really love to help my clients do, and I think that's something you really want to help your clients do as well, is to help them feel in control and empowered. And I believe that begins with grounding and connecting to your self-worth.
When you meet people who are disconnected from their self-worth, who've lost their car keys, but the car keys are still in the house, is there a very common story that created that from their childhood? Do you see the same pattern over and over with these people who are pinched off from their self-worth, their inherent self-worth?
So two of the main issues in humans is fear of rejection, and I'm not enough in all of us, But then we have these different circumstances from our past. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. So I do see a lot of it is tied to maybe the relationships with their parents that can carry a really heavy wound. And we learn everything from our parents. So it's, sometimes you see the cycle of abuse continue generationally. Well, that behavior is literally being learned from the time you're an infant. And so that's why I say it's unlearning. It's unlearning the behaviors and beliefs, but without blaming. Because if you're blaming, you're going to stay stuck in victimhood. So I've worked with many women who have been either, it might not be divorce. I've worked with women who've been through hard divorces, but also just hard relationships. Maybe they weren't married. And they continue to choose the same type of relationship. It's unknowingly, they're self-sabotaging because deep down, they don't believe they deserve anything more. And they may not be consciously thinking that, but their behaviors are proving that true because it's so much more deeply rooted. You have to get the core of it. And if you start to recognize, like, damn, I want to feel enough. I want to feel loved. I want to feel like I freaking deserve a healthy relationship, which, by the way, healthy relationships don't mean that you don't disagree, that you don't have, fights sometimes, and that, of course, that's included. But you start getting in this cycle, and I see my clients do this. And whenever I ask why, sometimes it feels very surface level. Right? Like we're not getting to the deep, but then when you keep asking that powerful question, why? It's like, well, why would anybody like that want to be with me? That's a common one that I hear. Like, why would someone like my husband, I've done a lot of work in my marriage, and I coach couples now actually as well. But like, why would I be able to be with somebody who treats me like he treats you? And they genuinely believe that. And so then once you uncover that, which it's not that difficult to uncover, because like I said, it's fear of rejection and lack of self-worth, like not feeling enough. Those are the two main things. You and I, who have successful relationships now, we still will face that. I still face my insecurities and and I catch it. I notice it. I'm aware of it. I forgive it in that moment. So once I see me spinning out or about to start that negative spiral, and this is another thing with when you're really grounded in your self-worth, so we all can relate to that negative spin out. And there's always that triggering moment or that trigger thought that starts it. And then once you have that thought, it's so much easier for similar thoughts to follow. And that's how we spiral down. So with the practice of self-awareness, I see that initial negative thought, and boom, like my higher self, my worthiness, my watcher, my connection to God, the universe, guardian angels, spirit guides, whatever you want, your inner being, however it connects to anybody. I access that. And like this literally happened last night to me. And before I went to bed, I was laying in bed and I was holding myself and I was just saying, I'm sorry for saying those words. I love you. I love my body. I love who I am. I'm sorry for saying those words. I forgive myself. I fell asleep, like saying those things to myself. That's one of the practices that people think is corny or that's too much. But how much time are we spending being assholes to ourselves in our head, or blaming everything outside of us or our ex for everything they did, because we feel so justified that they're wrong? And we don't have to agree with somebody else's behavior, but we do have to forgive. Because if you don't forgive, you're going to hold on to anger and resentment. And people think, oh, I'm not going to tell them I'm sorry. You don't even have to do that. But you have to find peace within yourself. And I think that's really hard for people to do, especially your clients, because they still feel they're very much so living in that pain.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely have their eyes in the rear view mirror, which is what's preventing them from driving forward. That,
Yes.
that anger and that bitterness is a big part of it for sure. I was just thinking about something you said, Emily, which is the I'm not enoughness, and thinking about where that comes from. And I imagine some of that comes from the conditionality of love that our parents gave us. Like, you need to get A's to get the attention and love. And I wonder if we're bringing that into our own parenting going forward. Do you think that's where that comes from?
Absolutely. I think 100%. I think that's how we form our belief systems. We learn our behaviors. That's what I think we're all very unique too. And we have God-given gifts or just natural gifts. And that's what makes us so special. Each of us, every single one of us has that. So like people listening, like, well, I don't have any special gifts. This is, my clients will say this sort of thing. I always say bullshit. Whether you believe it or not now, I'm not going to let you entertain that anymore. Let's find it. And it could be the simplest thing, which is actually a big thing. Like you're a great listener, or you're whatever. It can be, it doesn't have to be your,
Yeah,
this
I
genius.
call them superpowers in my clients, and each one of my clients, I always can identify a superpower, and they are blind to it. It's amazing how blind they are.
Yes. Yeah. And it's really, and I think that's a gift you and I have as a coach, is being able to see, like, my nose burns and I'm such a crier now, but it's like with so much love. Like I'm so blessed that I have the gift of seeing how loved and how worthy everyone is. And it's like, God, do you know how good this feels? Do you know how good it feels that I never have to feel alone? I never have to feel like I'm not loved. I never have to feel that I'm not enough, because I know how to ground and literally feel this energy. Like I have chills right now because I can just access it like that. And it's like, I want to give this gift to people. And it's not, I'm not like special in a sense that I'm the only one who can do it. It's available to everybody. But you have to start trusting that you can get there. You don't have to be there right now. Ease your way into loving yourself again. Ease your way into finding forgiveness. Ease your way into connecting back to how worthy you are. And part of that is, yes, rewriting your past. And like literally, like I'll have my clients rewrite their past, like journal it out and rewrite it from the time of childhood to their recent marriage, right? Gaining that new perspective. And that's one of the beauties of working with a coach. You help them gain this new perspective to where now they're in a position where they can look at that and it's not as painful. Mm-hmm. But when the emotion is so heavy, I always tell my clients, you're in it right now. You're very in your emotions. It's not a time to solve. We're not going to fix this right now. We need to give this some space. We need to just find something, the smallest thing, to get you from here to here. You want to be here. Okay. I know you want to be here, but we need to take some baby steps, because right now your emotions are too high to solve. But oftentimes we think, no, I want to be here. And then it just feels more frustrating because it feels so far away.
And then we beat ourselves up for not being able to get there. Why do I keep behaving this way to myself?
Right. And I call that stacking. We're stacking our pain. Mm-hmm. So like, I feel angry. Now I feel guilty. Now I feel,
stupid.
Yeah. Stupid.
Ashamed for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All the aren't those, and we choose it. This is the part that's hard, really hard. And I get it when emotions are super high. It's so hard to take responsibility for it because it just feels good to blame. But it only feels good in this moment. Long term, it's going to screw you. It doesn't help, but that it's not to say that that's not very human of us and that it happens and that you're normal, but you have to see it.
What are some of the steps that you would tell my clients, the ones that are really disconnected from their self-worth, that have found themselves in a relationship really because they were seeking self-validation and self-worth by either their accomplishments, like lots of my clients are very well accomplished professionals, and seeking it outside of themselves through a relationship.
Mm-hmm. The very first thing I would say is work on forgiving yourself. You didn't, not because you did something wrong, but just because loving forgiveness feels good. And if you're not going to forgive yourself, then you're going to hold on to that anger and resentment towards yourself. But also to understand that, again, there's nothing wrong with you. This has been, you've learned this from the experiences that you've lived. And believe it or not, it's happened for you. You will get through this. But the very belief that it has happened for you and that you will get through this, like literally telling yourself that every day, even if it feels like, even if there's doubt around it, at least begin to ease into that belief, you know, I'm going to get through this. I've already gone this far, right? Because they've already started the process of separation, right?
Yes.
So they're already out of the situation that maybe there were moments that they felt stuck. They were probably scared they'd be in it for the rest of their lives. Look, you got this far. You got this far. I promise you, you are on your way. And this, here, you're right here. All of this, none of this defines you. Every day you have a choice. Every day you have a choice to remind yourself that this doesn't define you and that you've gotten this far. And so it's really like trying on this different way of thinking that gives you just a little bit more ease, a little bit less pain. You don't got to feel happy right now. You don't got to forgive and love him right now or her. You don't got to, fake it. But you do have to at least give yourself the chance, the opportunity to go from this point in your pain to just a little bit less. And that's how we get there. But we want to jump here. We want all to be done and over, but you can't. It's a process.
Absolutely. I remember distinctly when I first separated from my ex-husband, and I realized sort of the pathology and toxicity of the relationship that I was in, which I really wasn't able to see until he vacated the house. And I was actually quite shocked at the person he was and how he was behaving and all of the rest. And I spent the first 2 weeks studying him, kind of understanding, reading the DSM criteria for narcissistic personality and all those things. And then I realized, okay, I spent 2 weeks doing that. Really, it's time to turn the focus inward. What was a person like me, educated, affluent, decent person, average looking, like what was I doing? Why did I choose that person? What's my role in this? And I think it really did always come down to self-worth, not thinking I was worthy of more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it's deciding that you are, and again, easing your way to believe it. Because you can just tell somebody, oh, you need to understand your worth. You're worthy. Okay. It's like, okay, ding, I feel worthy. No, it's recognizing it like you did, and then finding ways to ease into really feeling it and believing it. And part of that is awareness. Part of that is taking the time to sit down and write about it, literally rewriting your past. I call them sometimes with my clients self-love mantras. I help them craft something that feels believable for them. Because if it doesn't feel believable, then your brain's going to reject it. So it's like moving up the emotional guidance scale from, like I said, from this pain point to a little better. So I would recommend for your clients to come up with a self-love mantra. You can call it something different if you want, but essentially, some of my clients who aren't there yet and really need to ease into it, it's something like, it's okay that I don't have it all figured out now, but I want to feel better. And so I'm going to start little by little being nicer to myself. Like that's that's believable to them versus I am loved, I am worthy, I am capable, I'm so deserving of all the love in the world, right? I believe that for myself 100%. But there was a time when that would feel corny or icky, or like I would reject it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really finding a way and like looking in the mirror, looking in your eye. Like I'll do mirror work where I stare myself in my eyes and I just cry. But it's like this connection to myself. Your clients have lost their connection to themselves. They've lost themselves. They probably don't even know who they are. And then they're stacking all this criticism on top of themselves, which just feels
self-blame. Yeah.
right. And so doing some of these practices are going to feel extremely uncomfortable for them. But I promise you, you've been through some shit already. This discomfort is going to get you somewhere. This discomfort is going to help you feel more love in your life, more love for yourself. So look yourself in the mirror, stare yourself in the eyes, and say some nice things and see what emotions come up. See how much you resist it. See what meanness comes up. And once that meanness comes up, you forgive it right there in that moment. You literally say, I'm sorry. I am not my thoughts. I'm sorry that came to me. It's deeply programmed within me, and I'm learning to program something different. It's like that. It's reassuring ourselves that we're more than our thoughts, because we are.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. If we don't do this work, I think we are destined to repeat the same type of relationships. And when I look back in my relationship history, I always went out with the fucked up guy, like the guy that wasn't quite right. My husband now is the kind of guy I never would have gone out with. I never would have thought I was worthy of such a person.
Right. But you got there. Right. So you're the hope for your clients. You're a living proof.
Yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of time reflecting on myself and reestablishing the relationship with myself completely. Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. If my clients want to contact you, how can they find out about you? How can they listen to you?
Yeah. So I am Emily Elizabeth Coaching on Instagram, also on Facebook. Actually, Facebook's probably easier, Emily Strickler. And my email and website is all Emily Elizabeth Coaching. It's very easy. My podcast is the Soulfully Confident podcast on all streaming platforms. So if you want to listen to me, you can find me there.
You are amazing. Thanks for being with me today.